Today we have Amanda here, who is a midwife at Tommy's. Now, Tommy's are very special friends of ours at Water Babies. We've worked with them for many years, and we're very proud to say that we've raised millions and millions, around £4 million for Tommy's, because of the incredible work that they do. And I will get Amanda to introduce herself properly in just a moment, but I think, you know, today's session is so important because mental illness in pregnancy, whether it's anxiety, depression, or more severe levels, can have, you know, a significant impact on mother, baby, or either parent. So I think, yeah, that's why today's is so important. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Amanda, for being here. If you'd like to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about Tommy's and what you do.
Thank you very much, Natasha. That's fantastic. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm thrilled to have been asked. And as Natasha was saying, Water Babies raise a lot of money for Tommy's. I'm very proud to be a Tommy's midwife. There are 5 of us in the team. We take a day each, and we help to not only to with the content of our website, we add to that really, but we also answer lots of queries from anybody anywhere in the country, or sometimes even anywhere in the world, who have problems with pregnancy or conditions that they don't know what to do with. It can be mental health, but it can be all sorts of other things as well. And we pride ourselves in trying to answer each and every one personally. It can take 2 or 3 days to manage to get to everybody, but we do try very hard to get to everybody if they send us a query. So my name's Amanda. I've been a midwife for 20-something years. I've worked in most areas of midwifery, so that includes the fetal medicine unit where you go to have your scans. It includes the labour ward. It includes the community setting when many of you see a midwife at home when you first have your baby. And I was also a specialist perineal midwife for a while. That involved looking after women who had damage to their perineum in labour and how we helped them afterwards. And most do extremely well and go on to have more children. And it's very, very well managed in most hospitals now. I'm proud to say, a very keen swimmer. So that makes me particularly keen to support Water Babies. And it's certainly something which for many, many years has helped my mental health. Going swimming regularly is fantastic for your mental health, and it's a real plus. So thank you. Water Babies are really important because in order to go swimming, you've got to learn to swim in the first place, and this is fundamental to young children. So I applaud each and every one of you for coming here and for getting online and listening to all the different talks that you've been having over the last couple of weeks. So thank you very much. That's about me.
Amazing. Thank you, Amanda. Well, you can see, guys, we're in safe hands here, which is fantastic. And hopefully lots of advice you can take away from this. But yeah, like I said, be sure to drop some messages, questions that you might have down the side. That would be great. I do have a few, Amanda, if you're happy.
Okay. Yes, fire away.
In. Excuse the water puns. We always seem to have lots of them. But
oh, good.
If you like swimming, it's all good. So I suppose it's good to start with, is it normal to experience worries in pregnancy? And if that is normal, how do you deal with these or overcome them? I think particularly in a time that we're in at the moment, in a pandemic, just with that in consideration as well.
So I would turn that question on its head. I would say it's abnormal not to have concerns. I would say 99% of pregnant women will have concerns of some sort of anxiety, perhaps low mood, at some point in their pregnancy. It's normal. It's really normal. And what we've got to try and do is to learn to manage it. And there's so many ways that we can do that. We start when somebody comes to us. First of all, we have to acknowledge that by speaking out, you've perhaps got to a stage where it's slightly more than the normal. And if you're asking for support, we would expect that that anxiety is a little bit more than perhaps you're used to, or more than the average. But we would certainly start by talking about exercise, talking about diet, and talking about getting things into a routine, which includes a timetable, sort of timetable for your day, clearly not too strict, but that includes your sleep. Sleep is also really important for your mental health, and getting all of these things, so your exercise, your diet, your sleep, your activities, getting all of these things into some sort of healthy balance is really, really important for your mental health.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to dig a little deeper with some of those.
Yeah.
In a moment. Oh, Sam's asked a question. I'm going to jump in with Sam's. Hi Sam, thank you for asking. You said some friends are pregnant during this time, and what would be your top tips for me to help and support them?
Yeah. Pregnancy during COVID. Wow. It's definitely not an easy time. Pregnancy is not an easy time at the best of times. And COVID has been difficult for all of us. Each and every one of us has had our own challenges. That includes me, that includes anybody who's working or not. It might be financial worries, it might be other worries. The most important thing, I think, is to ensure that you get this timetable. We've been locked down, haven't we? But I've made sure that I've been going out every single day. I've needed that for me. Most people, even those who are being shielded, perhaps not all, but many people, even those who are being shielded, are trying to find a way to get outside each day. It may be into their garden. It may be to go for a walk, socially distanced at a 2 meter distance when there aren't too many people around. But for most people, getting out will be a start to helping them. And pregnancy is no different. If you're pregnant, you're going to have the worries anyway, but they will be compounded by COVID. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't the case. Remember to acknowledge that, and to acknowledge that when you're pregnant, it's normal to have some anxieties. And then put things into perspective and try to make sure that your timetable, that your sleep, that your exercise is there. These classes, so Zoom calls are fantastic for learning and for talking. They're also fantastic for exercise. There are Zoom calls by the thousands going on. Many personal trainers are doing Zoom calls. Some of them are very basic exercises. Some of them are much harder. Find the one that suits you and try to log in, I'd say 3 times a week. Every day is pushing it too hard, isn't it? But if you can try and log in 3 times a week, it's a start. And it will give you some basis to start getting the help you need for your mental health as well.
So perhaps then, Sam, like your question there, you could maybe do a joint Zoom call with a friend that's pregnant to support them. You could arrange to do that together, even if you're not pregnant at the same time. Perhaps you could do that as a support and reaching out to your friends. I think, yeah, definitely, as I suppose, as we see the lockdown period lift, or the rules change slightly, perhaps that joining, like Amanda said, going out for a walk together and checking in on your pregnant friends is a great thing to do. And perhaps, yeah, you get this 2 meter socially distanced walk together or spend some time together is good. We all need connectivity, don't we? We all need to be in touch. So I suppose, Amanda, that moves us nicely on to the next question, which is, if a parent or a parent-to-be is concerned about their own mental health or their well-being, what should they do? I know we've talked a little bit about exercise, but where should they start? You said by speaking, talking out is a really good sign. So what should they do? Where do they go? Who do they talk to?
So it just reminds me of on the television adverts at the moment. We've got, have you all heard of Nadia Hussein, who won Bake Off?
Yeah.
She had problems with her mental health and took part in quite a big documentary about it, and she's now on just saying the words, "We need to talk," and she says it so poignantly, and it's so true. We need to talk. You need to find a friend. So step one, if you're feeling low in pregnancy, find a friend, find a family member, a friend, a relative, somebody who you think that you can talk to, whether that's on Zoom, whether that's face to face, whether it's on the telephone. But that's step one, find somebody to talk to. Now, clearly, I don't want to pretend that all mental health challenges are going to be solved by talking or by exercise. Some people have much more severe conditions, and we do need to know and put in place whatever will help that particular person. In maternity, we have perinatal services, mental health services that run alongside our services, and we are able to refer those women who have what we perhaps call extreme mental health conditions to their services for either CBT therapy or for medication or for assessment. And if you feel that your mental health is getting out of control, it's really important, talk to your GP who can refer you, or talk to your midwife who can refer you. We'll give you some suggestions at first as to what you can do to help yourself. That's always step one. But for some people, that's not possible. And those people may need medication or may need counselling and may need assessment by a specialist team. Really, really important to remember that you're not on your own, and it's a service which is free and which we do put a lot of store by. So that's where you start. Friends, then GP or midwife or a professional, somebody who can help you.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. That's great. Zena's asked a question. Hi, Zena. Thank you for this. She said, "Can I ask? I have never suffered with anxiety except in pregnancy. With my first, I couldn't leave the house without several panic attacks. I've just found out that I'm pregnant with my second baby. Congratulations, Zena. Are there any measures I can put in place to help if I suffer with it this time?"
Yes, there are, Zena. I would suggest that you consider some techniques like yoga, mindfulness, meditation. All three of those have been found in research, some research that Tommy's have been funding, to be really helpful. That's not just for the short term, but yoga in particular has just we've just come across some research which is really important, that it shows that the help that is benefited from yoga is not just short term, but that actually it lasts long term for many weeks or months. So yoga is a fantastic exercise, but not just for the body, but for the mind as well, and can really help with anxiety and low mood. The timetabling of it, trying to get to a stage where you're doing yoga, I'd suggest 2, 3, 4 times a week, whatever would suit, is really important. And you get into a space in yoga where you're able to remember to breathe properly and to find ways to help that. It's not unusual to be anxious in pregnancy, not at all unusual. We get a lot of queries about it, and I feel that the most important thing is to try and signpost people to these wonderful techniques. Yoga, as I say, mindfulness, another one, and meditation is a third. as a means to reduce your anxiety. And I also want to talk to you about exercise. Fantastic piece of research was done in 2014, and this research, with the help of the database from Parkrun. How many of you know about Parkrun? It's a fantastic Saturday morning 5K run all around the country. The data from Parkrun has been second to none because during pregnancy, it's been very, very difficult for decades to do any research on pregnant women for ethical reasons, because we can't put any pregnant women in any danger. The beauty of the Parkrun data is that this research has been done using retrospective data. So this particular piece of research used nearly 1,300 women from across the world. Again, that increases the benefits of the research. And what it showed was that running in pregnancy did no harm whatsoever. And that's a fantastic message for us, both here at Tommy's and for you guys at Water Babies, because the same is going to be for swimming and for other exercises. So it's fantastic to see that exercise in pregnancy is not something to be frightened of. They particularly highlighted in this particular piece of research. If you just Google Tommy's and Parkrun research, you'll be able to read the whole article done by Andy Shannon, who's the clinical director at Tommy's. Fantastic piece of research, and they highlight the fact that one woman ran a marathon the day before she gave birth at term. Oh wow! Wow, what a fantastic thing to have done, and that suited her. Now, I'm not trying to pretend that you should all do that. That's not for everybody. And remember that this was worldwide research, so some women are very, very used to running all their lives. But what it does tell us and reassure us is that we shouldn't be frightened of exercise. We don't need to stop. We don't need to even slow down. Listen to your bodies, do as much exercise as you want to do, you personally want to do, and we will support that. And that in itself will decrease your anxiety and depression and low mood, because the endorphins that you build up through that exercise will have long-lasting effects for you. We're absolutely thrilled with this piece of research. Tommy's is, the whole point of Tommy's is to research into things that reduce the chance of a healthy pregnancy. So that's what we're about, that's our mandate. That doesn't mean that we're just researching medication. Far from it, we're researching into lifestyles, we're researching into all sorts of things to help make pregnancies a safer place for you. And what we've come out with, what the research has shown us, is that exercise is beneficial for everybody in pregnancy. So I can't highlight that enough. It's just such a fantastic thing to be doing, and that's why Water Babies is so important, because getting your babies learning to swim, that's going to help them, keep them healthy all their lives.
Definitely. Thank you, Amanda. Zena, I hope that's helped. I'm sorry to hear that you're suffering with that anxiety. I suppose in a way that you know that it might come on, and you may be able to recognize it as well. So like Amanda's saying, that hopefully exercise will be a great way to help deal with that. I can see a little one there jumping around. I'm sure he'll keep you busy, keep you running around on your feet, maybe not running a marathon, but running around. Fab. So Elaine has a question for you, Amanda. Hi, Elaine. She says, will it affect my 9-week-old long-term not being able to go to baby groups? It's a really good question. Will he be as sociable as his sister? I also worry he won't bond with grandparents as they haven't held him yet.
Oh, that's quite sad, isn't it?
It's the reality, isn't it, of this time?
Yeah, isn't it awful, this lockdown? Isn't it awful? You know, the consequences of lockdown are so many. I don't think so. I don't believe that he will be damaged. We don't have any data for me to base that on anything, because this is such a different situation to one we've ever been put to over, well, all my lifetime. I've never been through anything like this. I don't believe that your 9-week-old baby will be damaged in any way. Firstly, you're lucky because he's got a sister, hasn't he? Yes, he's got a sister. Well, I'm sure his sister is socializing with him already, and I'm sure that he is her biggest fan. So that's going to be fantastic for him. At 9 weeks, really, babies, what they really want is their mum and their dad and their sister. There'll be plenty of time for socializing. I've got no doubt at all that he won't be damaged at all. I think it's really, really sad for grandparents. I can imagine how his grandparents are feeling. I expect they're completely gutted not to have been able to hold him yet. But again, patience, it'll come, and those relationships will develop. It doesn't have to be all done in the first 9 weeks by any means. We know that people can develop very, very long-lasting relationships with people they meet long after their 9 weeks. So try not to worry.
Yeah, again, I'm no expert. I can only speak from my own experience. And after my first baby, she turned 8 yesterday. So that's flown by. It's gone very quick. But after my first baby, I did really suffer from postnatal depression. I probably didn't want to go out for the first 9 weeks, maybe longer. I just didn't really want to go out and socialize myself. So I didn't join any groups. And so I know everybody's different, and I know there's lots of different, everyone has a different lifestyle, but certainly at 8 years old now, she's the most sociable little thing. And I think, there's so much time. 9 weeks of a baby or of your child's whole existence is a very, very small portion of that. And perhaps, because we're all so tech savvy now and spend so much time communicating this way for the time being, perhaps, some telephone calls, put your parents or the grandparents on speakerphone, and so that baby can hear their voice, because I think that's really important, Amanda, isn't it? It's just the voices. Yes. That we hear.
Yeah. And most people are having Zoom calls with their parents, even or WhatsApp calls, or those types of things. Yeah. So even most grannies, I'm sure, are well used to that by now. And
yeah, definitely. And that voice association, babies' brains are already so well developed at the age of 9 weeks. We know that, in the womb, they're starting to recognize voices. They understand our voices as parents. So definitely, as much interaction that you can have through the, technology at the moment is great. It's not the full way there, but maybe it's a little bit that you can do.
It's also quite scary how much they take on. I'll take you back 30 years to when I was pregnant, and I'm embarrassed to say that when my baby was born, he without doubt recognized the Neighbours theme tune. Neighbours, da 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 da. Yeah, how embarrassing is that he recognized it completely from me being pregnant. So yes, they pick up on such a lot even before they're born.
Lots of research. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about that for sure. There's the next question. Sorry, it just says from iPad. I don't have a name, but hi, I can see there. I've been fine so far, but now that I've packed my hospital bag, I think that's my hospital bag, and everything, ready for baby, I'm having a bit of anxiety that the baby will be here soon. Is that normal?
Completely normal. Completely normal. Once you've packed your bag, it all becomes suddenly sort of so real, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's a scary time, particularly for women going through labour, because of not being allowed into hospitals for partners and and wider family, and I know how that is affecting people. I'll just explain what the rules are at the moment. They change weekly, but at the moment, partners are, or your birth partner, it doesn't have to be your husband or your partner, your birth partner is welcome in the labour room when you are in labour. Once the baby has been born and you're moved to the wards, the birth partner or the father or the person that's gone in with you is asked to go home. They're not allowed into the ward. This is completely different from our normal practices, and it's something that people aren't very used to. However, I do want to reassure you that the feedback we've been getting from women is that actually, instead of those curtains on a ward, many of you will be aware of a maternity room, a ward. Many of them have a 4-bedded bay, something like that, with curtains around. The curtains are blue in most hospitals. And for many years, women close the curtains, they keep them closed and they stay behind them. What's been fascinating during COVID is that those curtains have been opened up and women have started talking to each other. And it may not be perfect. It may be that you would love your partner to be there with you, and certainly I would if it was me, but I do also understand the reasons why this has been put in place. And it's to protect you all and us all. So we've got to make the best of it, whether we like it or not. So it's thrilling to hear that actually women are not finding it as scary as they had thought on the ward. They're opening up those curtains, they're making friends across the ward with other women who've had babies, and that in itself is a very positive thing. So although it's not perfect, we must take the benefits from it. Try not to worry.
That's lovely, Amanda. Thank you. Hi, Natalie. Thank you for sharing your name. I hope that's been helpful. It's definitely nerve-wracking. I remember packing the bag, and this suddenly becomes real. It's quite daunting. But I actually was on a ward. My first birth, I was on a ward in a 4-bedded bay, like you said, Amanda. And because I had visitors there and people coming and my partner there, you know, the curtains were pulled. And actually, what I think is lovely about what you're saying is that you're pulling them back. You're living it with somebody who's just going through the exact same thing as you. And those shared experiences are really powerful. And you can,
and also when the midwives have been able to help one woman, it's not as if you're not on show or anything, but the other people are around to be able to get that same benefit. To be able to see, she's helped me with breastfeeding, she's helped me with this. Okay, could you come and help me as well? And there's been so many comments from women, and I have to say that 90-something% of them have been positive. They've had a really good experience from the midwives, which we're thrilled to bits about, because of course the midwives are there to help you, they're there to support you, they're there to look after you, and to get good feedback is something that a midwife just dreams of. So it has been positive. I don't know how it'll change going forward. I know that to leave the dads out of it at that such a crucial time is well, it comes across as almost cruel, doesn't it? But it is what it is. We are what we are, and we have to accept it. And so, just make the best of it, and be kind to everybody, and everybody be kind back. And it's such a lovely atmosphere then.
Lovely. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Natalie, for the question. Kirsty said, what services can Tommies provide parents post-pregnancy, and up to what age of childhood?
Good question. Well, as a midwife, our remit, our rules say that we look after women during pregnancy, during birth, and for up to 28 days following the birth. In practice, most women are discharged from midwifery care between 10 and 14 days. Occasionally, if there are particular concerns, perhaps with feeding or with mental health or with anything else, we keep the family on our books for up to 28 days. After that, the health visitors take over from us, and we always wait until the health visitor has been in to see you before we discharge you. That's one of the criteria that we have to make sure that we've got the dovetailing. And health visitors are there for you for 5 years. So you have a port of call, somebody to go to, somebody to help you weigh the baby, somebody to help you with breastfeeding problems or weaning problems or developmental problems. It's not a midwife that will care for you, it's a health visitor from that stage onwards up to 5 years. In terms of Tommy's, with Tommy's remit being primarily to research into stillbirth and to miscarriage, that is where most of our money goes. And that research really is into pregnancy and how to reduce the risks in pregnancy and to gain the best outcome of a pregnancy. So in terms of looking after you afterwards, certainly for, certainly we don't go up to the 5 years, but where we do put a lot of time and effort is to supporting, particularly when we're back in the office, and using the phone lines, but to supporting those families. I say families because I don't want to just say women. We support the whole family if there's been a terrific trauma like a stillbirth. And those families may need support for weeks or months, some even years. And at Tommy's, there is no particular length of time where we would have a cut-off. If we're supporting somebody through stillbirth trauma, it's not appropriate to stop that just because the time limit has come. So there is no time limit. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Amanda. I think there's really great resources on your website, isn't there, for anyone who's concerned about anything throughout pregnancy. There's the Pregnancy Hub on the Tommy's website, and we were actually speaking with one of your colleagues last week, Kate. She was talking about all of the incredible, like the symptoms checker, any concerns you might have throughout your pregnancy, you can head to the Tommy's website. It's just full of amazing resources. So any concerns you have, or just any information you need. We've probably got time for another couple of questions. Will has sent in a question. Hi, Will. Some people on Instagram have asked me if they should avoid the news or keep in the loop at the moment to help with their anxiety and lead up to their due dates. Or I'd have to agree with that. Stay away from the news.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on who you are. Some people need that information all the time. I mean, I'm going to refer you to our own Instagram pages, from Tommy's Instagram and Tommy's Facebook, which are full of just common sense. Lots and lots. You'll get lots of input on if you sign up to follow us. Something almost every day from them, and it's just so sensible, most of the advice. Thank you for mentioning our website. We've got such an amazing team of people who are writing the website for us. It's a real pleasure to work at Tommy's. It's just a lovely atmosphere, and the way it's written, the excitement that goes into putting all of that information together and making sure that it's readable and of the right, everything's right about it, is so important to the team. And I really value them as colleagues. I mean, it's amazing working with our Pregnancy Hub team. Only one midwife a day on the team, but in fact it's a big team full of people with all sorts of skills. And they're a pleasure to work with. So yeah, please do follow us on Facebook and or Instagram, and you should get lots and lots of information about what you can do, what you can't do, and it's usually pretty balanced.
Thanks, Amanda, that's great. Lynn sent in a message, a question for us here. So I'm just going to read through this one. It's I want to get it all right. So thanks, Lynn, for this. She said, I suffer with anxiety and low mood and was already taking a mild medication when I fell pregnant with my first baby 3 years ago, but my GP took me off at 5 weeks. I suffered terrible panic attacks through my first trimester and went back onto my medication at 13 weeks. By my third trimester, I'd settled down and thankfully I managed to stay well postnatally. Great. Even though I had a lot of physical changes with SPD during pregnancy and suffered severe pelvic
Diastasis.
Thank you, during the birth, meaning I was disabled for the first 3 months. I've just found out that I'm pregnant with my second. Congratulations. My mental health is better than ever now, but obviously I have a little bit of anxiety around the potential SPD again and whether my GP may try to take me off medication again.
Thank you. That's a really interesting question. It's not the job of a midwife to prescribe. We don't do that. However, we work very closely alongside our colleagues, GPs, or the perinatal mental health team. If you're already on anxiety medication, on medication for your anxiety or depression, it's really, really important to go and speak to your GP and to be referred to the perinatal mental health team during your pregnancy. There's no stigma attached, not at all, and midwives will care for you in exactly the same way that they should, whether you're on medication or not. Now, I used to, many years ago, I had a job as part of a home birth team in South London, and we had a specialty which was that most of the women that we took onto our caseload had came to us because they wanted a home birth, but 1/3 of the caseload came to us referred from the mental health team because they needed a bit of extra support and perhaps more one-to-one services. Interestingly, a lot of that third, so a lot of those women that had come to us not because they wanted a home birth, but because they had anxiety or other mental health conditions, many of them had home births. It doesn't mean that you can't have normal midwifery care, and that's what's so important. Get your medication right. There's some medications which you shouldn't be on in pregnancy, and so your doctor will change some people onto a medication which is more appropriate during pregnancy. But there are certainly some medications that for most conditions that you should continue on in your pregnancy, because getting your mental health out of proportion when you're pregnant is more dangerous than being on a medication in your pregnancy. And just make sure that you have a lot of contact with your midwife, a lot of contact with your GP, and keep people in the loop as to how you're feeling. That's really, really important. Now, in terms of your SPD, they've changed the name of this now, interestingly. We now call it PGP, pelvic girdle pain. We've got a lot of information on our website about pelvic girdle pain. The advice nowadays is, again, get it treated early. You perhaps need to go and see a physiotherapist who may be able to put in place something to help you in terms of belts or just ways to make sure that you don't open your legs too wide, because what happens is that the hormones produced in pregnancy soften the ligaments and your pelvis can get out of alignment. It's really important to try and get your pelvis back into alignment and as early as is possible. So I would say go and see either a physio or an osteopath, even a chiropractor, but that person, whoever you choose, needs to be somebody who's used to dealing with pelvic girdle pain in pregnancy. So ask for their credentials, ask what they know about it and how much they've treated it, and and whether they're the right person to talk to you about it. If it's managed well, pelvic girdle pain can be, well, I'd say more managed than solved. When we're probably not going to get rid of it in pregnancy, but it can certainly be managed in pregnancy. And for some people, if it's extreme, then a cesarean section may be an option in terms of avoiding labour, avoiding needing your legs to be wide apart in labour. That's not to say that everybody will benefit from a cesarean section, and it needs to be done very individually for you to make sure that you've that we give you the right treatment for your condition. So please really go and see somebody who's got lots of information about pelvic girdle pain, get the treatment, and talk to your midwife. That's my message to you. And good luck.
Amanda, that is incredible advice. So like Lynn, again, I'm no expert, but I can only speak from my experience. I suffered from severe PGP. It was SPD in my first pregnancy, and then was renamed and called PGP in my second pregnancy. And quite like Lynn, I was disabled throughout my first pregnancy. I was in a wheelchair, and I appreciate the anxiety that you're talking about there, Lynn. It's difficult and painful. I would say I took exactly Amanda's advice there, and because I was maybe I was quite nervous about it coming back in my second pregnancy. I was more prepared for it in terms of learning and understanding it and how to manage it as best I could. Amanda's advice there about going to see a physio was amazing, and again found somebody that had great credentials. She'd had PGP in her pregnancy, so understood it, because I think sometimes it's not always well understood. So certainly a physio, or even a GP or a midwife, someone that can refer you to those services is great when they have that understanding. So I just say, exactly like Amanda said, visit the Tommy's website. There are other great resources out there. There's the Pelvic Partnership as well, that have a lot of information around learning about your pelvis and how to support it. And I found that one of those belts that Amanda was talking about, one of the supports, was really helpful for me way into my third trimester. So fantastic. Thank you, Amanda.
Interestingly, you're talking about our website. I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked it in the last couple of months, but we did a Facebook Live session on this very subject with a specialist in this field. And I'm pretty sure that the Facebook Live session is still available on our website on our page for PGP. So if you just Google Tommy's and PGP, you may well be able to watch the whole half-hour Facebook Live if it's something that's very relevant to you. And just one more thing, I've changed my practice in the last 2 or 3 years. But for most of my professional life, I've been very reluctant to suggest to women that they go and see somebody privately, partly because I'm aware that not everybody can afford it, and I also believe so strongly in our NHS, and that we should have the capacity to deal with these problems. However, in reality, it doesn't always happen, and I've actually changed my opinion here, that I think with something like PGP, because it needs to be sorted out within a short period of time, I just can't justify suggesting to somebody that they go on a waiting list for the NHS physio. I just think that they would be far better helped by paying the small amount that it is. It's not a small amount for everybody, I do acknowledge that, but it's the cost of going out for a meal, and it's so well worth it. It's something that you would just not regret. If you can't get access to NHS physio quickly and you're suffering in this way, then for me, bite the bullet and say, okay, I'm going to go privately and I'm going to find somebody who can help me. I acknowledge that's not easy for everybody, and I apologise for that, but it's the way it is, isn't it?
Thanks, Amanda. I think, like you said, your live session that you've got is a great place to start to learn more about it. I think the more you understand about PGP and its effects, the more you can start to put in place to make your pregnancy as comfortable as possible. Lynn, thank you. She's responded and said thank you. Also, like I say, I was disabled afterwards because my pelvis actually came apart. But we started Water Babies at 6 months with my baby, and whilst hard work, it was the best thing I'd ever done for my pelvis as a way of physio. So thank you. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story.
Completely.
That's fantastic. Well, wow, thank you, everybody. We've spent a good 45 minutes going through those questions, and Amanda sharing her expert knowledge with us. So thank you so much, Amanda. Is there anything you want to close by saying?
No, thank you so much for listening, and please do go to our Tommy's website. It's very, very informative, and I hope that you'll get the benefit from it. And best of luck to all of you, whether you're pregnant now or whether you're teaching your babies to swim when and if we ever get out of lockdown. But brilliant, you know, teach them to swim and teach them to have a happy, healthy life. Wonderful.
Fantastic, thank you. So definitely check out the Tommy's website and their pregnancy hub. It's fantastic. And also, yeah, if you have a little one at home already, check out our website. We've got some amazing learn material there that you can do, just building water confidence, water play that you can do from home very simply. But like Amanda said, hopefully we'll be back in the pool soon. Tomorrow, we do have another session for you. It is another learn session, but it's not water-based. So if you have got a little one, definitely join in. You can find the Zoom link on our website. It's just going to be lots of skills that you can do at home, even on the sofa with your little one. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your questions, and good luck with the upcoming births. And yeah, stay in touch.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.